Hello Tech Pros, episode 203.
Take control of your technology career. This is a huge industry, and if you love it, if you love technology, then surround yourself with it. The community is open.
Welcome to the podcast where I chat with professionals who are getting the job done using technology 7 days a week. Each week we start with Motivation Monday. Tuesday is about productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and Sunday, being unplugged. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Anthony Delgado. Happy Sunday, Anthony.
Happy Sunday, Chad.
Are you unplugged and unwound?
I am ready to unplug.
You see how I kind of shifted my voice right there? Like, as soon as I started, I was like, hello, Tech Pros, and I'm in my normal, Thursday voice. I don't know why I'm in my Thursday, technology voice, but I got so much feedback. You know I've gotten feedback because you've listened to the show. Like, hey, Chad, when you start the Sunday episodes, dude, don't be so hyper. Calm it down. Let's get unplugged. So let's use that soft radio voice. Hey, this is 105.7. You're listening to Chad Bostic and Anthony Delgado. We're going to be talking about being unplugged on a Sunday. Is that anybody, or is that just kind of creepy?
It might get a little creepy. It's a slippery slope between creepy and calming.
Well, that's the story of my life, brother. That's the story of my life. So Anthony Delgado is a full-stack developer and technology hero at websignia, a digital strategy and innovation agency. Websignia has worked with a wide variety of different companies, including sports, media, entertainment, healthcare, government agencies, and nonprofits. And Anthony has been an explorer of the digital space for over a decade. From developing front-end user interfaces to creating advanced back-end applications, Anthony's passion is using software to help change the way people interact with the world around them. Dude, I love that. I feel you, man. That's exactly why I got, kind of multiple reasons why I got into software development as a youngster in the profession, but I loved when I was a kid, when I was learning some of the principles around software development I started as a tinkerer, and it was just hey, I made this. This is a thing I made, and I did it. And I didn't need dangerous equipment like bandsaws where I could accidentally cut off my thumb. No, I just needed electricity and back then a television to plug my computer into and a keyboard, and we didn't have a mouse back then. But anyway, it was fun. It was total fun, just geeking out and building stuff.
No, absolutely. I've been geeking out since I can remember. When I was young, I was going to the science fair every year with a new concoction. I built a hoverboard in second grade, and I think in third grade I built a local area television network so that I could stream Sega Genesis in the house.
What?
So back before Chromecast and before iPhones and all the fun stuff we have now, I was definitely hacking away. So. And it's awesome. It's awesome to create things and then share them with your peers. So when I create technology, it brings me back to my childhood because I've been tinkering with circuitry and stuff since I was young.
Dude, you're on a whole nother level from me because I've never been able to master the physical world, only the digital electronic bits and bytes and computer programming world. I've never been able to master a soldering gun. I've tried it multiple times, and all I do is make a big hot sticky mess everywhere and nothing that actually works. It only kind of smokes and catches fire, and it's okay, let's never do that again. I tried to make, at my science fair I don't know what that was, but a long time ago, I tried to invent, this is stupid, I tried to invent windshield wipers for my glasses, because I wore glasses, and every time it rained, they would get all fogged up and stuff, and I was like, you know what, I want little little windshield wipers that wipe my glasses, and I I built something. I went to Radio Shack and got a whole ton of parts, motors and servos and little gears and stuff, and it was a total failure, man. It looked like kind of like when my wife finds a project for me to do on Pinterest nowadays, and she's like, "Here, just build this," and I'm like, "Honey, I'm a software guy, not a hardware guy, right?" She's like, "Oh, please, they got simple steps. It's 7 simple steps. It's right here on Pinterest. You can do it." And then I take the picture and it's like complete fail. That was what like my 5th grade science project was like. But yours, dude, that sounds amazing. Did your hoverboard actually hover?
It did actually hover. So I built it from a leaf blower, and we went to Home Depot. We bought some wood, and we built a plastic surrounding around the piece of wood, and it did hover. The only limitation was it didn't have a battery. So the leaf blower was plugged into it had to be plugged in. It was tethered, but
Nice.
but besides that, it did hover. It was pretty cool. And then I think the next year I did a wireless Sega Genesis. So this was something I actually built out of necessity. I wanted to play Sega Genesis, but the television that was in my room didn't have the proper RCA inputs. It only had an antenna, and it could only pick up television stations. Now these are real first world problems of like the early 90s,
right?
But,
exactly.
But so I used a VCR to broadcast over Channel 3, and Channel 3 isn't used here in New York. And I set the black and white television that was in my room to Channel 3, and I built a big antenna, and I was actually able to to broadcast Sega Genesis throughout the house. So pretty cool. And it's kind of similar to the things I do today in technology. It's about finding the tools and, repurposing them. You may find a piece of software that wasn't intended to do something, and, you make it a bend to your whims and do what you need to do.
Heck yeah, man. It's all about having that vision of like, I want something that does XYZ. Like, there's no solution out there in the market that does this. Or, wouldn't it be cool if, and then you tinker around with something, you build something, and then you got all the kids in the neighborhood going, let's go over to Anthony's house. He can broadcast freaking Sega across his entire house. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely. And so from a young age, I was taking a lot of criticism because I used to come up with these adventurous ideas, and God bless my parents, they did support me. But when you come into class and you say, hey, what's your science project? Oh, I'm building a volcano. Oh, I'm going to build a hoverboard and you're going to sit on it. You get a lot of crazy looks.
Right. Yeah, they're like, not fair.
But yeah, I've always not hesitated to try to push the boundaries.
That's awesome. How supportive were your parents growing up? Like, were they pretty crafty and handy and supporting you in these habits, or were they kind of the eye rolling? Oh my gosh, here we go again.
No, so they definitely were supportive. But one thing my mother always taught me was to work for things. So she would say, okay, you want to build this project. There's $100 in parts that are needed, or X, Y, and Z. I'm going to give you 5 chores to complete before you can get this $100 to go spend on your project. And it was a lot of I guess carrot and the string type of methodology. Right. But now that I'm an adult, it really did instill a work ethic in me. But they were definitely supportive. I couldn't have done a lot of the things that I did as a youth if it wasn't for my parents.
Dude, that's awesome. That's so inspirational. I love it when parents, because I'm a parent now, right? I have a 6-year. Oh, she's turning 7. It's very, very soon. Actually, by the time this episode comes out, my daughter is 7, and I've cried many, many tears because of that. And like, I see all these parents just like doing everything for the kids, like literally, like wiping their face, picking up after them, buying them anything that they want, and not instilling a sense of pride and ownership and a sense of work ethic. And it kind of frustrates me a little bit because I see all these kids and they're raising up to not making good choices and not being great behavior and all this kind of stuff. And I don't want to judge people. Like, I don't want to come across harshly on the way people raise their families and stuff like that. I totally respect whatever style, but dude, it's like, man, I really have a lot of respect for the people who are like, no, you want this? Great. Then work for it. Like, show me these 5 chores, like knock them out. And then we'll go to the DIY store and we'll pick up your parts.
Absolutely. Personal responsibility is really big in my family. We came from a working family, family of immigrants who, migrated over here from Italy quite so many years ago. And we were all hard workers. So, my mother came from a family of 5 siblings, and, they all went to college and they worked hard. They were the first of their generation to go to college, and they worked hard and they succeeded. So that was definitely instilled in me. And then another good point was personal responsibility. So I would, maybe go to school and have some type of altercation or some type of issue, and I would come back and I would say, hey, so-and-so did this and this, and so-and-so did this and that. And my mother would tell me, no, it's not their fault, it's your fault. Everything is your fault. Because at the end of the day, you cannot change the other people. You cannot change what the other kids are doing. You cannot change the way the teacher is conducting their class. The only person that you can change is yourself. So how can you change your behavior so that the people around you aren't affecting you in these negative ways?
Dude,
so it sounds harsh, but it's deep.
No, that's totally deep. Like, big props to your mom for that. Those big words of wisdom, because that is so true. Like with all my struggles with social anxiety in the past, and just, other normal life struggles that you get at work and at life and with family and with friends and with strangers and neighbors and everything else between, it's like I want to throw a little rage fit every now and then because of, the way the world treats me, or the way that people are acting, or the way that these parents are raising their kids or whatever. And it's like, just like your mom said, like it's been a hard lesson for me to learn over my life, but she is absolutely right. Like, the only thing that I can control, like, I can't control the weather here in Florida when it's thunderstorming outside, and I can't control anybody else and their actions. The best I might be able to do is influence them a little bit, but other than that, the only thing that I can control is myself, and so I'm either in control or I'm not.
Absolutely. And to bring it back to technology, a lot of things are out of our control in technology. We could be using a software that's not documented. We could be using an API that's depreciated. We could be using an API that's not documented correctly, and there may be a quirk or a bug that we find. And, you can't sit there and complain and say, hey, this API has a quirk in it, so I'm not going to adjust my code. No, your code has to adjust for those APIs, for that framework that you're using, or whatever the case may be. So again, it comes back down to being a problem solver.
Yeah, man, I think we could do a whole episode on this on like a Tech Thursday or a Productivity Tuesday. But you know what? The business doesn't want excuses. Like, the customer does not want to hear why you can't get it done. All they want to hear is that you're getting it done, and here's the next step. Here's when we're going to deliver, or here's what we're going to do next in order to solve your problem. They don't want to hear, oh, well, Facebook changed their API again and it completely broke, and now you're kind of hosed for a while. They want you to be a pro and be on top of it, and to take responsibility for everything that you can. And yeah, the world is constantly in flux. APIs are constantly changing. Like, the technologies available to us are just evolving all the time, and it's up to us as tech pros to stay on top of that and make sure it's taken care of.
Absolutely.
Dude, hang on. We're borderlining on talking too much about work today, and we want to be unplugged. So, Anthony, what do you do to be well, first of all, why is it important for you to get unplugged away from the technology, or just away from the day-to-day grind at work every now and then?
So as you can tell, Chad, I have a little passion for technology, and it consumes me. And even if even if I wasn't being paid for it, like I wasn't on salary when I was in 3rd grade doing my science projects, right? Even if I wasn't being paid for it, I would be building things and tinkering with things and creating things, because that's the type of person I am. And when you have that entrepreneurial spirit, when you have that maker and that builder spirit, it is hard to unplug, and it is hard to disconnect yourself from the world, and especially from your work life. But the one thing you have to realize is that there will always be more work to do. So it doesn't matter if you spend 8 hours a day in the office or 24 hours a day in the office. There will always be more work to do. When you come in on Monday, don't worry. There's more work there, especially in the software world. Um, so one of the things that I think people get stuck is they'll get into stuck into a rut of just dealing with the technologies that they're tasked to do as part of their day-to-day workflow. And you start to, after a while, you start to lose that ambition and that fire and that drive to learn new things and to explore. So when I unplug, I mean, I do have days. I went to Puerto Rico for my birthday a few months ago, and I was like literally leaving my cell phone in the hotel room, which is like unheard of, right, in today's society.
Right.
So that is one way to unplug, is to just leave the electronical devices aside. You know, you'd be surprised how much fun you can have with just a few dollars and some flip flops, right?
Absolutely. So let me ask you this: since we are both like really passionate about technology and really passionate about entrepreneurship, and I feel that you're like a kindred spirit here, like, should we feel guilty at times for not getting unplugged? Or if it's something that we're passionate about and we love doing, should we not just continue doing it? Like, is working on new projects, is learning new technology, is working on new business stuff, if that stuff's fun, is that not a way to get unplugged? Or do we need to look at it as like kind of separation of church and state, like separation of the work stuff I do for fun and then other stuff I do for fun?
So yeah, no, I think that's a great question. I really do feel, especially in this industry that's evolving so quickly, if you're not doing kind of extracurriculars to better yourself, then you're doing yourself a disservice. This industry is changing, it's evolving. So if you're not going to meetups, if you're not going to conferences, if you're not exploring and seeing what's out there, then you're doing yourself a disservice, both professionally and personally. I enjoy these things. So I enjoy going to meetups and hearing about new technologies. I enjoy going to conferences, and I enjoy building new things, side projects, and things of that nature. And if you don't, then you may be in the wrong industry, right?
Right.
But I think the rut that people get stuck into is you're working for this big company. This big company has one particular stack, and you end up having blinders on to the rest of the tech world. You know, the tech world is evolving and it's moving and it's changing. So if you're not putting your toe into the water to kind of see what else is out there, you're definitely doing yourself a disservice. But to answer your question, Chad, no, I don't think you should feel guilty to go to a meetup. If you know, a lot of the meetups that I go to here in Manhattan, you know, they have drinks and food, and you meet awesome people, and you widen your horizons. So I definitely feel that you can do things that are still helping you in your career, but are unplugged from your office and your actual workspace.
Yeah, I love that kind of combination of, you know what, we are getting unplugged, but we're doing so that still furthers our career, that still furthers our education, our continual, you know, business education and stuff like that. But we're having fun doing it, right? And it doesn't have to be in the office. It doesn't have to be at the laptop. I love the point about going to meetup groups, because to me, it's fun, but it's work, but it's fun, but it's work, and it's a little bit of both, right? And it's that opportunity to, like, as you said, like, get away from just the headspace that you're in of that creating, and get more in the collaborating, right? Get more of the building a network of people around you and seeing what they're doing, and talk to them about what they're working on, and, you know, just kind of have fun and enjoy life at the same time.
Absolutely. You know, and if you have a good employer, maybe they can finance some of those trips to meetups or conferences, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I've been indulging myself in the last few years is I go to a conference in San Francisco. It's the Twilio Signal Conference. So to those who don't know, Twilio is a voice and unified communication as a service API company, and they build APIs to, like, send text messaging. So when you hail an Uber and you get a text message, That's Twilio. The developers who write the Uber app are integrating with Twilio to send that text message. So it's an API to let you send voice and SMS and integrate into those kind of antiquated technologies. So I started going to their conference about 2-3 years ago now. And dude, it's awesome. They have like open bar. You meet all these cool people. They give out all this swag. You meet people from Microsoft, Amazon, Airbnb, you name it. Everyone's there, and it's like a rock star convention. But technically it's work related. I come back and I have tools that I can add to my tool belt that I didn't have when I get back to the office. So for the past few years, I've been fortunate enough to actually have my employer sponsor some of that trip. So I go out there and meet great people. My mind is open, but at the same time, I am unplugged. I am not responsible for my day-to-day responsibilities for that week that I go out there. And I do go out and see the sights, see the beautiful city of San Francisco. So it's definitely been an awesome trip. And those are the types of ways that I like to unplug. I like to unplug in ways that are still bettering me and enriching me, but are still kind of things that are able to help me unwind and relax and kind of unplug from the office.
That's awesome. I love that. So how about we dive into that topic? Because I think this is a big topic that many people would like to do more of, right? We want to spend more time going to conferences and meeting people and networking and just seeing what other companies are working on, but we're kind of stuck. Sometimes we feel stuck in the job, stuck in the role that we have, and maybe our employers are a little bit, tight-fisted with that money, and they're always giving excuses about, we don't have the budget, or we only send the marketing people, or blah 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 blah. So maybe in just a moment we can talk about how you talk your boss into upping that budget so that you can go to these conferences. But first, we'll take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by Minio Cloud Storage. Minio is a cloud object storage server for developers and DevOps written in Go. The Go programming language is the emerging language of choice for modern cloud infrastructure projects, and it allows Minio to be highly concurrent and lightweight. Minio is Amazon S3 compatible, built with microstorage architecture in mind, but at its heart, Minio is simple, scalable, and supported by a passionate developer and user community. In episode 89 of Hello Tech Pros, I talked with A.B. Periasamy, one of the founders of Minio, about the importance of community support and recruiting software developers who are as passionate about their product's code as artists are of their art. Check out that episode at hellotechpros.com/89 and check out Minio Cloud Storage at minio.io. That's minio.io. Are you new to podcasting? Are you looking for a fast, high-quality, yet budget-friendly podcast production team? Let TransSource Media take care of you. With a team of professional audio and video editors, writers, and graphic artists, they can help you build your podcast from planning, post-production, and platform submission. Using only cutting-edge software and studio equipment, they're here to make each and every show sound at its best. To get a free quote, please visit www.transsourcemedia.com or send them an email at marketing@transsourcemedia.com or call them at 209-505-5693. TransSource Media, transforming businesses through the power of multimedia. Okay, we're back with Anthony Delgado. Anthony is a full-stack developer and technology hero at websignia. We've been talking to Anthony about, from back in the day, creating hoverboards for science fair projects, all the way up into what he's doing today, building software, building technology that makes the world go round and make the world a better place, which is awesome. And the best thing about technology is all the people, in my opinion, and it sounds like in Anthony's opinion too, all the amazing people doing amazing maker work across the world in so many different industries. And so when you get the opportunity to unplug from your day-to-day daily grind of whatever it is and go to a conference or go to a meetup group and just communicate, talk, spend time, build relationships with all these other people out there doing these amazing things, it can really refresh you and get you inspired and get you motivated to come back and hit the job a little harder. Plus, you've got like new skills in your pocket, new technology in your pocket, like new connections that you can reach out to and ask for help. But Anthony, sometimes, dude, these folks don't want to pay the bill, right? They don't want to send us out to a conference. They don't want to give us the time off away from work because they're like, hey, that would be nice, but this year, you know what? We got this deadline. We got this big project deadline coming up, and we haven't had the revenue that we wanted to, or we're waiting for the next round of investors to hit us before we can up our budget. So what do you do, Anthony, to like talk your boss into writing that check and sending you out to a conference?
Definitely. So make no mistake, if this is a decision that you want to make, and this is a conference that you want to go to, you have to make that decision that it's happening, regardless of whether your employer finances it. So that's the way that I've approached it. Twilio is actually awesome because on their website, they have a form that you can fill out and hand to your employer that pretty much says, Twilio is awesome, and I think you should pay for this, right? So that'll definitely help you if you want to go to that conference, but every conference doesn't have that. So what I've done in the past is the first year that I went, I booked the vacation time with HR ahead of time. I knew I was going to this. It didn't matter if they were going to give me comp time for it or not. Didn't matter if they were paying for the plane ticket or not. So I took the vacation time. I paid for the plane ticket myself. I bought the conference ticket myself. And then maybe a month before the event was going to happen, I sent an email and I said, hey, I'm going to this conference this week. The vacation time has already been approved by HR. I've already purchased the plane tickets. Here are all the awesome companies that are going to be there. Here's how this is going to help me and benefit me in my career, and how it's going to benefit the company once I return. And it would be awesome if you guys would pay for it, and I would appreciate it very much, and here's how much it costs. And I attached the form that Twilio sent along with it. So basically, I left the ball in their court. I'm going to this conference. It's an awesome place. It's a thing that I want to do, and it shows them that I'm passionate about it. But at the same time, it would be beneficial to the company if they compensated me for that extracurricular activity that I was doing.
Yeah, man, I love that approach. I love that approach of, if it's important to you, just do it. Like, if it's important to you and it's a priority and it's something that you want to do, then sign up for it. Like, don't let your employer be the roadblock that's stopping you from furthering your career. Don't let the finance guys who make the decisions on the budget whether or not you're going to invest in some, career development courses, right? So it's up to you to kind of do these kind of things. And taking it way back to the beginning of the episode, when you were talking about how your mom taught you work ethic and responsibility and deciding to do something and kind of paying your own way for it, it's exactly what I hear you doing today in your career, man. Is just like, hey, I decided that I'm going to do this because it's going to be good for me and it's going to be fun and I'm going to enjoy it and I'm going to get a lot out of it and it's going to benefit me, but it's also going to benefit the company. So you're going to sign up and you're just going to take it on yourself to okay, I need to request vacation and I need to get that approved, and then I need to put money away in the in the personal account and get that ready to pay for. Need to get ready for airfare and the hotel and the conference tickets and all the kind of stuff that you need to do. Just go ahead, and if if you're like super passionate about it, just do that stuff. And then after you're committed, then approach your boss and say, hey, this is good for you too. We can both get something out of it. Do you want to invest in me to invest back into the company?
Absolutely. And so far I've been doing that, like I said, past 2-3 years, and it's been successful every time. I haven't had them finance maybe 100% of the trip, but 90% of it. And also those vacation days saying, hey, we're going to go back on the calendar. Those aren't going to count. And then we're also going to cut you a check when you get back to pay for some of this investment. So it's definitely been awesome. And what I actually do, so I fly out to San Francisco, I stay there for the weekend, and then I will have flown out to LA. And then the year that just passed, I flew out to San Diego, and then take maybe a more appropriate official vacation, and see those other cities. But definitely, and I go out there on the company's behalf. I bring business cards with me, and I hand them out and I network. So I don't think that just the marketing people get to go to conferences. If you're a technologist and you're in this industry, you deserve to go to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it benefits everybody, right? It benefits everybody for us to get out and start talking to people. And this is something that I learned way too late in my career. I actually got the opportunity to go to many conferences throughout my career, but in the beginnings, dude, I was, I talked to you guys about my social anxiety in the past and how much it really hindered me, not just at work, but in personal areas too. And for me, going to conferences was both the most thrilling and exciting thing about work, but it was also one of the scariest things ever because you're surrounded by strangers all over the place. And a lot of people like Anthony are like throwing out their business cards like, "Hey Chad, how's it going? Where are you from? What do you do?" And I'm just like, and I'm freezing up and I'm struggling with, being in this environment. But it's such a positive experience, right? It can help you so much just to build a network of friends who are going through the same thing, right? So when you're struggling with getting your code to compile, or you're struggling with the next upgrade to the, like, say, the API that Twilio puts out, right? And now you've got a bunch of connections with other people out there who feel the same pain, and you can reach out and say, "Hey, Anthony, I'm trying to upgrade to this next version. Like, it's not happening. Can you help me out?" And there's just so much benefits to it. You just got to do it.
No, definitely. So I've been kind of an introvert and an extrovert in life. I've gone through different phases, and I definitely can relate to the social anxiety that you're talking about. But dude, when you go to like a tech conference for the first time, or even a meetup, it's uplifting because it's like, wow, there's all these people that speak the same language, and a lot of them are introverts as well. Everyone there is not going to be super outgoing.
Right.
They're going to speak your same language. A lot of people, you probably can't talk. You might not be able to talk to your wife about APIs. You may not be able to talk to all of your coworkers about APIs, or your family. But when you go to a conference and everyone speaks your same language, it's invigorating. So I make sure that I go to San Francisco once a year now, and I kind of equate it to a trip to the motherland or a trip to Mecca, because
Right.
you touch down and it's like San Francisco, everything is related around technology. So all the billboards, all the banners, everything's a tech company. A lot of the pilot programs for a lot of new apps are there. So I remember the first year I went, there was a startup called Curbside, who partnered up with Best Buy and Target. And I went there and they were like giving out $20 coupons. And it's basically an app where you order something at Target and you just pull up and they bring it to the curb and you don't have to stand online. But I went there and they had it there and they didn't have it here in New York yet. And then 6 months or a year later, they started bringing it out here. So it's definitely an incubator for technology, and anyone across the country, if you're in the technology industry and you're not on the West Coast, I highly recommend taking a trip out there.
Yeah, man, that town is so cool and yet so weird if you're not from there or if you're not used to that culture. So being a guy from the Midwest, from Texas, Oklahoma, and now I'm out here on the East Coast in Florida, is just completely different. And the trips that I've taken out to San Francisco, well, let's just compare and contrast, right? Because most of my audience is actually, there's about 70% US and 30% international. And of the folks from the US, it's actually, I don't know, maybe 12 to 15% of the people that listen from the US are from California, and the rest are all over the nation, which is awesome. I love all you guys, no matter where you're from. But if you're not from Silicon Valley, if you haven't lived there, if you haven't taken a trip out there, imagine this. You go to any random fast food joint around town, right, in whatever town that you're in now. What kind of conversations, if you just kind of be quiet and listen in to the tables next to you, what are they going to be talking about? Oh, what's on TV? The funny little cat video that's on social media, like who's running for president, all this kind of stuff. Okay, you go out to San Francisco, you just listen to random conversations on the street or in restaurants, and it's what are the web servers doing? Like who's upgrading to the latest APIs? It's like constant technology buzz and talk all around you, and it can get overwhelming. It's like, stop, just talk about TV shows, right? Just talk about Game of Thrones. Talk about something other than technology for like 10 minutes. It's too much. I've only been here for 3 days and it's too much. You people are driving me crazy. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
No, definitely. It's definitely a different culture. I come from New York, and we're probably the least laid back place on the planet, I think. So, not only California isn't unique to this, but, I come out of the airport and I'm walking super fast. Like I'm walking 100 miles a minute, and
Nice.
people are looking at me like, "Oh, what is this guy? He must be late, right?" And no, I'm not late. I'm just trying to hail my Uber. The other thing, people are super nice. I'm probably super nice anywhere besides New York, but yeah, people are definitely super nice. And it kind of got me to kind of check myself, because people would look at me and say, "Hey, are you mad? Is everything okay?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, no, I'm fine. I'm having a great time." But New York, we're definitely very serious, and very fast paced. And you go out to Cali, and they're definitely always talking about technology and buzzing, but they're also very laid back, which I appreciated.
Good stuff. Well, speaking of being laid back, Anthony, today on Sunday, my Unplugged is going and taking a nap, and we're about 3 minutes away from me hitting the pillow. So before we go, please share any parting words of wisdom that you have for our audience, the best way that we can connect with you, and then we'll say goodbye.
So if I had to leave one word of wisdom to all the tech pros out there, I would say take control of your technology career. This is a huge industry, and if you love it, if you love technology, then surround yourself with it. The community is open, and the community is vibrant, and there's hasn't been a better time to be a part of technology. So don't look at technology as work. Continue to grow outside the office. Continue to grow in your social life. Attend the meetup, attend the conference, and never stop learning, never stop hacking.
Awesome. Anthony, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. Wait, before I say thanks, where can we find you? Where can we find you? Social media, websites, GitHub, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, my email address is me@anthonydelgado.me. You can go to my website, anthonydelgado.me, or you can follow me on GitHub, github.com/Anthony Delgado.
Thank you. Awesome. Now I can say thank you so much, Anthony, for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. I really value your career advice. I value your work ethic, and I just really appreciate you coming on a Sunday, because I don't have enough people. Hint, hint, nod, nod. Come invite yourself. Please invite yourself to come on the show by visiting hellotechpros.com/guest. Sign up for a Sunday Unplugged episode for anyone interested out there. Thank you, Anthony, for doing that, for following my call to action from a previous episode and coming on the show. It was awesome hanging out with you and meeting you and talking about all this great stuff. I had a blast.
Absolutely, Chad. Thank you.
You bet. Tech Pros, if you want to maximize your career, like if you're listening to Anthony's words of wisdom here and you're like, yeah, man, I want to do it. I want to, like, maybe I've been sitting back a little bit too much on my career and just kind of going with the flow. And I got through school and I got my job, but now that I'm in my job, it's like 2 or 3 years of grinding and I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. I put together a free 7-day course that I call, what do I call it? I call the Career Hyperdrive course. And what you're going to get out of it is motivation to overcome your biggest career obstacles, the productivity tips to help you crush it at work without killing your personal life, leadership training to build respect and influence across the organization without necessarily needing to move into that management track. You're going to get my technology mastery blueprint that's going to guide you through the process of selecting the right technology for the right problem every single time. You're going to get social engineering hacks to break down the elite inner circles in your office or in your group. And finally get a seat at the adult table. You're going to get those entrepreneurship tactics. So that's like entrepreneurship at inside your own company that's going to raise your value and your salary within your organization and increase your reputation. It will not necessarily help you speak English because I'm stuttering with that today, but it's going to give you finally the peace of mind to unplug from the job on these Sundays or on these weekends or at these conferences or whatever you want to do without feeling that anxiety or guilt of, you know what, I want to take some time off, but like everybody's up here working late at night and it's just like, I feel bad for taking time off. You're going to get all this stuff, and the best news is it's absolutely free. Just go to hellotechpros.com/career, and Until next time, you've been listening to Anthony Delgado, and I'm Chad Bostic. Have a great weekend, the rest of the weekend. See you Monday. Take care. Bye. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/203. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe to this channel, and check back tomorrow. This has been Sunday being unplugged, but tomorrow my featured guest and I will get fired up and ready to face the week with Motivation Monday. On Tuesday, we'll be discussing productivity, Wednesday, leadership, Thursday, technology, Friday, people and communication, Saturday, entrepreneurship, and back again on Sunday to get unplugged. And I'll talk to you tomorrow.